and from the way she texts to the way she talks. And I can confidently say that I feel like
fucking Charlie Kirk's widow. We're all thinking it. I'll be the one to say it. Erika Kirk is being plowed by
Mikey McCoy. Mikey, where are you? Bro, you really need to explain how you were on the phone, didn't even dial, within like milliseconds, less than a second, and then Charlie gets and you just walk away. Just walk away. And all the team.
I want to thank the Turning Point USA board, the COO, Justin Strife, and my husband's chief of staff, the amazing Mikey McCoy.
Candace Owens didn't hold back. She went on camera and said what everyone else was too scared to say out loud. Watch the clip again. Why does Mikey McCoy walk away before Charlie even falls?
Charlie Kirk's chief of staff, Mikey McCoy, was identified in the immediate aftermath of Charlie being shot, acting very weird and taking what looks like a phone call within less than a second after the gunshot rang out. He was crossing his arms and he put his phone directly to his ear before Charlie's body had even hit the ground. Turning Point USA came out and issued a statement about what Mikey was doing. And this was done by an individual who was the producer on the Charlie Kirk show, Blake Neff. He explained that he was right next to Mikey when all of this happened. I've gone back through to verify this, and what is also interesting is that right next to Mikey McCoy and Blake Neff is the individual that took down the camera right behind Charlie before the crime scene was closed off.
And that one sentence flipped the internet upside down.
I would have issued a statement to dispel any rumors, but they have not.
4 hours earlier.
First, we got to do a little addressing. It's a video of Charlie's chief of staff. They're alleging that he was on the phone immediately. He was not.
He puts his phone to his ear. There's no dialing, okay? You can't dial and put your phone to an ear in 0.834 seconds.
Because once you rewatch that footage with Candace's words in your head, it hits different. Charlie is mid-speech, a loud crack shakes the room, and Mikey McCoy, the man who was supposed to be like a brother to him, doesn't flinch, doesn't freeze, doesn't even look confused. He just raises his phone, turns his back, and calmly walks away. It looked less like shock, and more like someone already on step 2 of a plan.
Now let's take a closer look at the behavior of the amazing Mikey McCoy in the seconds and minutes after Charlie Kirk's life was tragically taken away. This is footage compiled by Sam Parker. You can see Mikey identified there on the left, or standing next to the left of the tent. Charlie Kirk has just a few seconds left here on this earth, and you can see here, as soon as Charlie is hit, Mikey, in one swift motion, picks up the phone and looks to be calling someone. Very odd. He doesn't duck down like everybody else. He doesn't run to Charlie's aid. He literally picks up the phone and turns around and starts walking. Back to the footage one more time. You can see, again, Charlie is hit. Mikey, one movement, picks up the phone and starts walking. You'll see him disappear from view to the back of the tent, and he will reappear in just a few seconds. And there he is again. You can clearly see that he appears to be on the phone with somebody. That is just odd behavior. I'm sorry. It's very, very weird. You know, it's not criminal behavior, but it is very, very weird. You know, he's just so calm. Here it is, another angle. You can see Charlie below being carried into the SUV, and Mikey is in the distance, looks to be still just on the phone, casually strolling away from the scene of the crime. Is that normal? And maybe the bigger question I'm thinking, and you're probably wondering the same thing too, is who was he calling?
People expected chaos, panic, yelling, something human. Instead, Mikey moved like a man who knew exactly what came next. And that's why the internet can't let this go. Because if his reaction was natural, why does it look so rehearsed?
So let me get this straight. We're supposed to believe the official narrative of what happened to Charlie Kirk. Mikey McCoy, Charlie's chief of staff, was on the phone before Charlie's body ever hit the ground. He was still on the phone as he was walking away. What could he have possibly been talking about? Because he has no idea what was happening behind him. Charlie's closest allies and friends were filming themselves while he was being carried out to the car. No instinct to run and help him or run away. Sorry, but this isn't normal no matter which way you put this. Candace is the only one digging into what actually happened, which is why they're attacking her so hard for it. Not to mention, she released even more messages of Charlie saying, "I'm not sure if I'll live to see the end of this revolution," and tells Candace, "I believe you're the piece that God meant for me to meet. I cannot explain it, but I dream of it all the time." And then says, "If that's the case, be my David." I wonder if these same people who mocked Candace Owens for talking about a dream will mock Charlie for it as well. Clearly, the people who are coming after Candace lack any sort of discernment. Instead, they play into the forgiveness done in public, like Charlie Kirk's wife did, and letting off fireworks for his rally, funeral. Candace is the only one digging into the truth of what happened. She's exposing all of the corruption and they hate her for it.
Before we go into rumors or theories, let's lay out the real timeline of what happened that day. Because once you see the order of events, the clip becomes a whole different story. The day started like any other high-energy event. Crowds cheering, cameras rolling, Charlie Kirk on stage delivering one of his usual fired-up speeches. But at 11:23 a.m., everything shifted in a split second. A sudden crack echoed through the venue, sharp enough to freeze the entire room. People ducked, gasped, grabbed each other, and for a moment, no one understood what just happened. Reports later confirmed the shot came from inside the venue, and within minutes, security rushed Charlie toward an SUV to get him to medical care. Attendees described the scene as instant chaos, confusion, panic, and shock ripping through the crowd. Phones came out, people screamed for help, and security tried to control a situation no one was prepared for. Within hours, the news spread nationwide. Headlines called it a targeted attack. Clips flooded social media, each angle more unsettling than the last. But as the public tried to process the tragedy, a second narrative started forming, not about the moment itself, but about how certain people reacted in those first few seconds. And that's when the viral clip of Mikey McCoy began circulating. Thousands of people rewatched the footage looking for answers, but instead, they found behavior that only raised more questions. Because while the crowd froze in shock, one person moved like they weren't caught off guard at all. And that's what sparked the first wave of suspicion. Here's the clip that changed the entire tone of this story.
Gang violence. Great!
As the sound hits the room and people recoil in shock, Mikey McCoy, standing just feet behind Charlie, doesn't react like a startled friend or a panicked staff member. He doesn't look around to locate the source, doesn't duck, doesn't try to reach Charlie. Instead, in one smooth motion, he lifts his phone to his ear, turns his back, and starts walking away. No hesitation, no confusion, no instinct to help. Viewers pointed out something else too. He didn't dial. There's no visible tapping, no unlocking, no scrolling. The phone goes straight to his ear.
Even weirder is Candace Owens released never before seen footage of this man right after Charlie was shot, and before he even took down the cameras, which adds another layer of weirdness to this whole assassination narrative. Even if these individuals had nothing to do with Charlie being shot, they should be nowhere near Turning Point USA.
And that's the detail that instantly sent TikTok, X, and YouTube into detective mode. If he didn't dial, was the call already active? Or was someone calling him at the exact same second the shot went off? People began screen recording, slowing it to 0.25x speed, zooming in on his hand, his face, his body language. And every replay made his reaction look even stranger. Because where everyone else showed panic, Mikey showed certainty. He moved like someone following instructions, not someone processing a shocking moment. This was the clip that turned a tragedy into a mystery. And before the internet even had time to form a theory, Candace Owens stepped in with questions that no one expected her to ask. When Candace Owens entered the conversation, everything shifted. She didn't tiptoe, she didn't imply, she said it straight. On her show, Candace told millions of viewers to rewatch the clip and ask the one question no one wanted in the spotlight.
Obviously went out to both Mikey McCoy and Andrew Colvett for a statement. Hey, who were you on the phone with? What's going on here? No response. Weird.
I asked him, I was like, do you even remember the moments after? He's like, I know I called Erika. I know I called my wife. I know I called my dad. Charlie had given me similar instructions along the years. Said, if anything ever happens to me, you call Erika.
Yeah, that's the other
he
thing.
drilled that into Mikey's brain. I cannot imagine what was going through your guys' head being on the scene and seeing it. I'm telling you, Mikey that day turned into a general on a field, marshaling the troops.
He was a heroic figure on that day.
Call me crazy. Many people do.
Why did Mikey walk away before Charlie even fell? Candace didn't accuse, she highlighted. She pointed out the calmness, the timing, the lack of shock, and most importantly, the phone. She openly questioned who Mikey called, why the story keeps changing, and why no one from TPUSA wants to address that tiny, uncomfortable detail. And it didn't stop there. She pressed further, calling for Mikey's call logs from that exact moment. Because if everything was innocent, why not clear it up? Why not show who was on the other end? Her breakdown hit different because Candace wasn't a random commentator. She was someone who had been close to the circle. Someone who knew the players personally. So when she questioned it, the internet stopped whispering and started digging. Hashtags exploded. People clipped her segment, stitched it, reacted to it, and suddenly, the narrative wasn't a tragic incident anymore. It was, hold on, something here isn't adding up. And if Candace's reaction surprised the public, what came next shocked them even more. Because the first person to openly praise Mikey after the tragedy was Erika Kirk herself. This is the moment that took the internet from curious to suspicious. Just days after losing her husband, Erika Kirk made her first public appearance. People expected heartbreak, tears, or at the very least, a shaken tone. Instead, what stood out wasn't what she said about Charlie, but what she said about Mikey McCoy. With a small smile, Erika thanked him publicly, calling him the amazing Mikey McCoy.
I want to thank the Turning Point USA board, the COO, Justin Strife, and my husband's chief of staff, the amazing Mikey McCoy.
That one sentence, just 5 words, changed the entire energy online. Viewers weren't expecting Mikey's name to come up at all, especially not with warmth, praise, or a smile attached. The timing felt why highlight him, of all people, so soon after everything? Why so much admiration for the same person whose reaction millions were questioning?
Mikey McCoy. Mikey, where are you? Bro, you really need to explain how you were on the phone, didn't even dial, within like milliseconds, less than a second, and then Charlie gets and you just walk away. Just walk away. And all the team at TPUSA was trying to originally debunk that, but Candace just showed video, like proof, like, Mikey, where you at? Can you explain yourself, please? Can TPUSA go back on a podcast and try to explain that? Because, damn, y'all look guilty.
The clip went viral instantly. People clipped the smile, the tone, the choice of words, and compared it to the footage of Mikey walking away during the chaos. And that's when the internet started connecting dots, fair or unfair. Some defended Erika, saying grief makes people cling to anyone who was there. Others felt the mention sounded almost too affectionate. especially with emotions still raw and unanswered questions piling up. But regardless of where people stood, one thing is undeniable: Erika's praise shifted the public's attention. Suddenly, this wasn't just about Mikey's reaction anymore. It was about their relationship, their dynamic, and why her first public gratitude went to him. And when the internet starts getting a feeling that two people are aligned after a tragedy, the next layer of speculation becomes unavoidable. Once the internet started questioning Mikey's reaction and Erika's praise, TPUSA stepped in to clear the air. But instead of calming things down, their response only made people more suspicious. A TPUSA spokesperson claimed Mikey wasn't calm. He was stunned and simply reacting to a sudden, traumatic moment. They insisted he walked away to make urgent calls because Charlie had trained him to contact Erika and then his father, Pastor Rob McCoy, in any emergency. In their version, Mikey was following protocol, not abandoning his friend.
Producers of the Charlie Kirk show, Andrew Colvette and Blake Neff, who was right next to Mikey McCoy when the shot rang out that struck Charlie Kirk, attempted to explain what Mikey was doing in response to him going viral after he was identified, putting his phone to his ear and walking away from Charlie in the immediate aftermath of the assassination. Listen to this.
The video, without going way into it, is by, I can't even remember the guy's name. Someone made a video that is attacking Mikey, Charlie's friend, Charlie's chief of staff, a guy all of us know, a guy who we've seen on the show here the last few weeks. They are attacking him, claiming, based on a few seconds of clips, that he allegedly has like a nonchalant or calm reaction to Charlie's murder. And I'm just going to be blunt about this. This is a extremely disgusting attack. And I can speak to that because I was there when it happened and I was next to Mikey when it happened. And what I can say is, I can't say every single thing that happened, but I want to talk about this specific narrow thing. That the shooting occurs. I am next to Mikey. Both of us hear a loud crack. We both turn. We both see Charlie, who has been shot. Both of us, I think at about the same time, realize that that means there is a shooter who is on the scene. And, you know, you just hear the crack, so you don't know, did it come from far away? Did it come from close? Is there a mass shooter unfolding right now? So I and him both had the reaction of, let's get out of here before we are both shot. That is not us abandoning Charlie. Charlie had a security team. They all leapt immediately into action, and they got Charlie out of there, which was what their job was to do. My job was not to get in the...
But here's where the public got stuck. If this was just protocol, why do the stories keep changing? Pastor Rob claimed Mikey was covered in blood and in shock when he called. Erika claimed her call came first and that Mikey sounded panicked. The footage shows no blood, no panic, and a call with zero dialing. 3 stories. 1 moment. None matching. Then TPUSA hosts began praising Mikey on live streams, calling him brave, loyal, even heroic. Instead of addressing the inconsistencies, they doubled down on protecting him. And that shift, from explanation to defense mode, felt less like clarity and more like damage control. Because when a narrative is clean, you don't need multiple versions of the same story. When it keeps changing, people assume someone's trying to get ahead of the truth. And if TPUSA's response raised eyebrows, the next part blew the lid off the internet. Because this is where the rumors began. This is where the story leaves strange behavior territory and enters full-on internet scandal mode. After Erika's warm praise of Mikey and TPUSA's intense effort to protect him, social media began pushing a theory that took on a life of its own, that Erika and Mikey were allegedly closer than people realized. Let's be clear up front, there is zero confirmed proof of an affair. What we're talking about here is what the internet started speculating, not a verified fact. But here's why the rumors spread so fast. People noticed how often Erika and Mikey appeared around each other during TPUSA events even before the tragedy. Old clips resurfaced showing familiar body language, inside jokes, and a comfort level that some viewers read as more than professional. Then add the fact that Erika's first public praise was directed at him, not Charlie's family, not security, not the medical team, and people's minds went straight to the messiest conclusion. TikTok threads labeled them too close. Twitter users slowed down moments where Mikey seemed to guide or shield Erika, and Reddit had full timelines built within 24 hours. And once a rumor gets that kind of momentum online, the truth doesn't even matter anymore. The story writes itself. Whether the theory is totally false or not, the perception alone was enough to cause a storm. And perception is what shapes public belief, especially when silence replaces answers. But the rumor wasn't the only thing fueling suspicion, because the person who reacted in a way no one expected wasn't Erika. It was Charlie's parents. If anyone had the right to speak out, set the record straight, or defend Charlie's legacy, it was his parents. But instead of stepping forward, doing interviews, or even releasing a short statement, they chose complete silence. No media appearance. No tribute speech. No public defense of Erika, Mikey, or TPUSA. Nothing. At first, people assumed it was grief, that they were simply shattered and needed privacy. But as days turned into weeks, the silence didn't feel like heartbreak anymore. It felt intentional, almost like they wanted no part in the public story being crafted around their son. They skipped major TPUSA memorial events, declined invitations from outlets, and avoided being photographed with the very people leading the narrative. And that's when the internet shifted its focus. Because if they believed the official version of events, why distance themselves? Why refuse to align with Erika or Mikey during the aftermath? Some floated the idea that the parents' silence was quiet protection, holding on to truth privately rather than participating in what they didn't agree with publicly. Others believed their absence was a message in itself, a boundary that said, "We're not standing behind this." Their silence became louder than any statement they could have made. And once people connected Erika's warmth, Mikey's reaction, TPUSA's defense, and the parents' distance, the internet began forming a new theory, one that ties everything together. At this point, the story isn't just about a tragic moment anymore. It's about timing, behavior, relationships, and the kind of silence that doesn't comfort, it questions. When you line up the events, the pattern is hard to ignore. Mikey walks away before Charlie falls. Erika publicly praises him with a smile days later. TPUSA rushes to defend him with shifting explanations. Rumors swirl, unproven, but persistent. Charlie's own parents refuse to stand beside the narrative. Individually, each detail could be dismissed. But together, they form a picture that feels, And that's why people online won't let this go. Because if everything was as simple as a tragic, random moment, the reactions around it would have looked very different. Instead, the responses felt synchronized, almost rehearsed, while the people who should have been closest to Charlie emotionally seemed the most distant from the story being told. Right now, no one outside that inner circle truly knows what happened in those crucial seconds, or what conversations took place after. Maybe it was shock. Maybe it was miscommunication. Maybe it was loyalty. Or maybe, like many believe, the truth is sitting in the one place no one's allowed to look. Mikey's phone. Because one phone call can change everything. What he heard, what he said, and who was on the other end could answer every question that still hangs in the air. And until that comes out, this story won't die down. Not online. Not in the public's mind. Not in the community still replaying that clip frame by frame. Was this just a tragedy? Or was Charlie surrounded by people who were already writing the next chapter without him? Drop your thoughts below, because the theories keep growing, and the truth always finds its way out.